Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are in chapter 15. The title of this chapter is Towards Civil War, 1840 to 1861, and we begin with chapter 15, section 1, beginning on page 448. The title of this section is Slavery and the West. American Diary. When Missouri applied for statehood in 1819, controversy arose in Congress. Slavery was legal in Missouri, and Missouri's admission would change the balance between free states and slave states. The Missouri debate became so bitter that Thomas Jefferson wrote, quote, "This momentous question, like a fire bell in the night, awakened and filled me with terror. I considered it at once as the knell, or funeral bell of the Union." Close quote. Letter to John Holmes. Page 449. The Missouri Compromise. Main idea. The Missouri Compromise temporarily resolved the issue of whether new states would be slave states or free states. History and you. Do you feel loyalty to your school during a contest with another school? Read how differences between the North and the South created feelings of loyalty to a region. Many settlers brought enslaved African Americans into Missouri with them. When Missouri applied for statehood, its constitution allowed slavery. The request sparked an angry debate in Congress. In 1819, 11 states permitted slavery and 11 did not. The Senate, with 2 members from each state, was, therefore, evenly balanced between slave and free states. The admission of a new state would upset that balance. In addition, the North and the South, with their different economic systems, were competing for new lands in the Western territories. At the same time, a growing number of Northerners wanted to restrict or ban slavery. Southerners, even those who disliked slavery, opposed these anti-slavery efforts. They resented the interference by outsiders in Southerners' affairs. These differences between the North and the South grew into sectionalism, an exaggerated loyalty to a particular region of the country. The Senate suggested a way to resolve the crises. Allow Missouri to join as a slave state and admit Maine at the same time as a free state. Maine, formerly part of Massachusetts, had also applied for statehood. The Senate wanted to settle the issue of slavery in the territories for good. It proposed banning slavery in the rest of Louisiana Purchase north of 36 degrees by 36 degree north latitude. Speaker of the House, Henry Clay, carefully guided the bill through the House of Representatives, which passed it by a close vote in 1820. Maine joined the Union that year. In 1821, Missouri became the 24th state. The Missouri Compromise preserved the balance between slave and free states in the Senate. It also brought about a temporary or brief lull in the debate over slavery. Reading check. Explaining. Why was the admission of a new state controversial in 1819? Page 450. A new compromise. Main idea. The Compromise of 1850 addressed several issues, including slavery in the territories. History and you. Do you engage in some give and take in order to settle an argument? That's a word a little awkward. Read how Congress settled its differences in 1850. The debate over slavery in new territories erupted again in the 1840s. The annexation of Texas, where slavery already existed, became the main issue in the presidential election of 1844. Democrat James Polk won the election and pressed forward on acquiring Texas. Texas became a state in 1845. At the same time, support grew in the South for taking New Mexico and California from Mexico. Government actions led to war with Mexico. Conflicting views. Soon after the Mexican War began, Representative David Wilmot of Pennsylvania introduced a proposal called the Wilmot Proviso. It would ban slavery in any new lands that might be acquired from Mexico. Southerners protested. They believed that any anti-slavery policy about the territories endangered slavery everywhere. They wanted California and New Mexico to remain open to slavery. Senator John C. Calhoun of South Carolina countered with another proposal. It stated that neither Congress nor any territorial government had the authority to ban slavery from a territory or regulate or control it. Neither proposal passed, but both caused bitter debate. By the 1848 presidential election, the United States had gained California and New Mexico from Mexico, but took no action on slavery in those areas. The Free Soil Party. In 1848, the Whigs selected Zachary Taylor, a Southerner and a hero of the Mexican War, as their candidate. The Democrats chose Senator Lewis Cass of Michigan. Both candidates ignored the slavery issue. This failure to take a stand angered voters. Many opponents of slavery left their parties and formed the Free Soil Party, adopting the slogan "Free Soil, Free Speech, Free Labor, and Free Men." They chose former President Martin Van Buren as their candidate. Taylor won, but the Free Soil Party gained several seats in Congress. The Compromise of 1850. With the backing of President Taylor, California applied to become a free state in 1849. Meanwhile, anti-slavery forces wanted to ban slavery in Washington, D.C. Southerners, however, wanted a strong national law that required states to return fugitive or runaway enslaved people. The key issue, however, remained the balance of power in the Senate. If California entered as a free state, the slaveholding states would be outvoted in the Senate. Southerners talked about seceding from or leaving the Union. In 1850, Senator Henry Clay tried to find a compromise. He proposed that California enter as a free state, while the rest of the new territories would have no limits on slavery. In addition, the slave trade, but not slavery itself, would be banned in Washington, D.C. Finally, Clay pushed for a stronger fugitive slave law. A heated debate began in Congress. Senator Calhoun opposed Clay's plan. He felt that the Union would be saved only by protecting slavery. Senator Daniel Webster supported the plan. He reasoned that slavery had little chance in the new territories because the land was not suited to plantations. When President Taylor, an opponent of Clay's plan, died unexpectedly, Vice President Millard Fillmore succeeded him and favored a compromise. To end the crises, Illinois Senator Stephen A. Douglas divided Clay's plan into parts that could be voted on separately. Fillmore had several Whigs abstain or not vote on the parts they opposed. Congress finally passed 5 bills in 1850. Taken together, these laws became known as the Compromise of 1850. Reading check, explaining who formed the Free Soil Party and why. Section 1 review. Number 1, define the following: sectionalism, temporary, regulate, fugitive, secede, abstain. Main ideas. Number 2, describing how did the Missouri Compromise preserve the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. Number 3, explaining how did Stephen Douglas help win approval of the Compromise of 1850. Okay, guys, that sums it up for Chapter 15, Section 1, and it looks like Toothless fell asleep yet again. All right, guys, Coakley out.